Hello and welcome to another exciting series from Creative Unicorns. In the next couple of videos, you'll be learning the essentials of After Effects. Are you excited? Now before we dive into the first episode, let's roll the intro. In this episode, I'll be introducing you to the interface of Adobe After Effects. Alright, this is Adobe After Effects 2023. This is the welcome screen. In this screen, you can see that we have our recent projects here, projects we've worked on After Effects. But if this is your first time, then this place will be empty. To get started, you need to create a new project by clicking on New Project here. And in case you don't have any screen like this, and maybe it's a plain display, you need to first of all go to File, New, and then New Project. So I'll click on New Project here. And here we are, Adobe After Effects. Like I always tell people, After Effects is not a video editing software. It is a motion graphics software and a VFX software, not a video editing software. So don't expect the workflow to be the same. I want you to just drop everything you think you might know about video editing and let us take this from the basics. The first thing I'll introduce you to here is our project window. This is where every single file you'll be making use of in Adobe After Effects will be. Your pictures, your scripts, your video files, your text files, your graphic designs, your VFX that you might have designed in other softwares like Photoshop and the rest of them. Every single asset you'll be making use of in this software will be found in this place. And in as much as this is not video editing, like video editing, we also have our timeline somewhere here. This is a window. This blue area here is a window where your timeline will be at. Right now we are not on the timeline window here because we are on the render queue. This is another part we'll be going to. I think the last episode of this series will be talking about this render queue. But this is how your timeline is going to look like. Now we have our composition window here. This way you'll be previewing your video files, or this way you'll be previewing all the effects and motion graphics you'll be doing here. This is where you'll be previewing it here. We're going to dive deeper into the whole windows and panels we have here as we go further in this training. So let us talk about our project panel. This is where you bring in all your media files. So to import your media files, you go to File, Import, File. Okay, now let's click on it. You see what we have here? You can also double tap here and it does the same thing. And now when you're here, you can bring in one file, you can bring in multiple files. For instance, I can select this file and click on Import. I can also select an array of files by clicking Shift, and you see the number of all the files from this point to this point have been highlighted. You can also select one file, click on Control on the Windows and Command on a Mac, select another file and select another file. Just basic stuff. You can also like select this file and with Shift highlight all this file, and maybe you don't need this particular file, click on Control or Command and select that. You can see we have this one selected, this other one selected, but this is no longer selected. So there are multiple ways you can do this. You can even click and drag to select an array of files. I believe you understand this. Now let me show you. You can still even go backward. Let me go backward. This folder is titled Gorilla. You can select this folder and click on Import Folder, and everything in this folder will open in After Effects. But for the purpose of this training right now, I will just import this media, this picture. I'll import it now. I'll still go navigate to our video folder, select this and import. You see what I'm doing? Just to show you, you can just select as many files you can as many times you want. You can go in, select as many files. Let me just bring in our class 1 here, and like I first of all explained to you, this is a VFX, a motion graphics software, and trust me, a whole lot of things will be coming in, and it is good practice to arrange your footages. Very good practice. If not, you will get lost because a lot of things come in here. So to arrange it, you can right click and create a new folder, or just come down here, click here, create a new folder, and we can name this folder, let's say video files. Then select both of them, drag them into this one, and you see there's an arrow here. If I click on it, you'll see our 2 video files here. Now we have pictures there. You can just right click, create a new folder, name it pictures, enter, select those 2, drag them into pictures, and you can see we'll just have 2 folders here, and in each of these folders we have their corresponding items. Now if you have graphics here, you can also create a folder for it. If you have a logo, you also create a folder for it. Now it is, like I say, it is a very good practice to arrange your files. It will really help you in the long run. There's another thing I would like to show you in this project windows here, or project panel. You can open any of these folders actually, and on any file here, if you right click, you see a number of options, a number of things you can actually do. And first of all, here I want to let you know that you can interpret your footage. Now let's go to a footage here. It will be better, though it's the same thing. Basically, it just brings out the property of your file here. So if you right click on this and click on interpret, I'm using a video file because videos have more properties than pictures, so that we can go through every single property. So if I click on main here, you see all the properties of our video file. For instance, we have this video file here is a 24 frame per second video, but in case, let's say it's a 60 frames per second video, but you want to interpret it into to be a 24 frames per second, you can just come and put it here. Or maybe you move this, let's say, or maybe for one reason or the other, After Effects couldn't really interpret the video file and the frame per second is not correct. You can just come in here, click on conform, and change it to 24 frames per second, because you know that your video file is actually 24 frames per second. Now let me go back here. You can also change the pixel aspect ratio here, and you could just go deeper into any of this file in case for one reason or the other your file is not well interpreted, or you know exactly what you want to achieve and you need to reinterpret your file in a different way. You can also come to the color management here. I hardly come here. I've never honestly, I've never even done anything here, but then you can take your time, go through it. You might see some great stuff here. So I'll cancel because everything in my video file is okay. Now another thing, you can right click on the video file and replace the footage. For instance, let's say you imported the wrong video file, and instead of deleting to go and bring in another video file, you can just right click and replace the footage here. Click on file, and any other file I click on here will replace the previous one. Now let me bring in a different file entirely, like this delusion trailer. I'll replace that one now, and you can see it has been replaced in this place. Now if you right click again, you can reload footage. Now why will I have to reload the footage? First of all, if I bring in a video file here and I've worked on it in After Effects already. I've done a lot of things on it, and for one reason or the other, I needed to do some correction on that video file. I went to my video editing software like Premiere Pro or any other one and do some changes on the video file, and I needed to update here so that all the effects will still follow the new video file. You can just right click here, click on reload footage, and it will just refresh it, bring in the new footage. Or for one reason or the other, after I created this project, I closed it and I maybe exported another video file from Premiere Pro and named it exactly this name, and maybe I have moved this video from the point it is in my system. I moved it to another folder, and I have a new video in this folder with the same name. When I open this project, this is the new video that will come up here, and obviously it's going to be a disaster in our VFX or motion graphics. So if that happens, I can go back, rename the new file to a different name, bring in the original file to that same folder, then right click and reload footage. It will refresh itself, and that's the original video will be reloaded in here. Now if I right click here, you can also reveal in Explorer. If you do this, you see it's showing us this is the video file we just brought in. Let's go back and still right click again. You can also rename your footage. For instance, you have this footage here and it's just having some numbers, random numbers, like the video file is directly from a camera. Now let me bring in a video file from a camera here. Now we have a video file here. I can see drag that and drop in our videos folder. You can see the name. This is C0304, and you might not really remember this number. So you can rename it by either clicking on enter or right click and click rename. Now we can now name it new video. You can see it. So we have a new video. So basically that's what you can do within this project panel. As we go along, if any other thing comes up, I'll talk about it. At this point, let us create a new composition. You can create a new composition by either clicking on new composition here, then come to composition, new composition. You can even come here, you look at this, click on this, it creates a new composition. So let's just click on this one, and our composition settings panel pops up. This is where you're going to instruct After Effects or give After Effects instructions on how your composition will look like. Now, unlike video editing where you create a sequence, in this case you're not creating a sequence, you're creating a composition. And the first thing you do here is to set your height and width, the height and width of your composition. So right now it is set to 1080 by 1920, which is a standard full HD dimension. You can come into your presets here. We have a lot of presets here where you can click from. We have 4K film 4K here. We have 2K Canon full, and so on. Our HD TV, DVC Pro HD, have the UHD 4K here, and a whole lot of presets you can select from here. You can just select like this, and we still have the same dimension because full HD is full HD. You also set your frame rate here, the frame rate of your composition. You set it here, the pixels, how you want it. I am making use of a square pixel, not anything anamorphic. Now if you click on any of this one, it means you at least you have some advanced video knowledge and you understand when to make use of any of these. If not, I'll just advise you stick with square pixels. Now you can set your resolution. Now this can be changed from time to time while you're working, so it doesn't really matter. I'll leave it on full. And now to a very important thing, the duration. This is something you don't see in a video editing software. You have to set the duration of your full composition. For instance, if you're making a 1 minute advert, you have to set it to 1 minute here. Like this is our frames, these are seconds, these are minutes, and this is hours here. So let's say what we are creating is a 30 seconds advert. You don't need to even add one more frame to it. Just set the time or just set the duration of your composition to be 30 seconds. You can also make it 1 minute by making this place 0 and adding 1 to it, and it becomes 1 minute depending on what you're doing. Now I also want you to understand that these settings can be changed at any times too. You can adjust any of this thing at any time, so it doesn't matter if you make a mistake right now. You can just dive right in as you work, and I'm going to show you how you do that. So at this point, I think we're good. You set your background color. This background color doesn't really affect your footage because this is actually going to be a transparent background at the end of the day. But then I'll just advise leave it on black, and let's go. You can see we now have our composition here. This is our composition, and this is the timeline. Now I also want to introduce you to some things here. This is where you can preview your video files. You understand? So before we even come into this place, so that I can make some illustration, let's drag in a video file. Now this is an advert video. You can just drag it and drop on top into, just drag it into this place directly, and you see we have a video file. But you can also, let me Ctrl Z, click on this. You can also bring it into your timeline here. Just drop it, and we have it. You see, we can just scroll through and you see the video we have in there. So now you can see if you want to play back this video. Now, unlike videos, normal videos where you click on play and it just start playing, in After Effects what you do is RAM preview. That's, in other words, After Effects renders your video into the RAM and then allows you to preview the video from the RAM. So it is called RAM preview. So this is where you can click your play and stop button here, or use your space bar to play. You can see now that's the video. You can go frame by frame here, just frame by frame. You can see it, how it moves. Now all of these things you would understand why when we dive deeper into After Effects, you understand why we need all of this. You can also, let's come into this place. Now when I told you can change your resolution at any point, you see this, instead of when you play full, this is the full resolution of the video. But when you have a lot of effects going on here in your composition, playing back might be an issue, and especially for some of you that might not have a very powerful system that can just play back even a normal video here in After Effects. You can just come here and click on half resolution, or you can even go down to a quarter resolution, and you can see you are still previewing your video. Just that you just look at the resolution of this video. When I change it to full, you see the sharpness. So that's just what happens, and you can even customize it. Quarter is 4 times. You go to customize, you can change these to even 16 times, and you see how blurry the video is. Just it will just allow you to preview your effects so that you can make corrections. But when you want to render, just change it back to full, and you have your full video. Now you can select an area of your composition where you want to preview. For instance, if I want to preview from 30 seconds to 35 seconds, I can just click, come here, you see it, work area, click, drag this to 30 seconds here, and then drag this to 35 seconds, and I can just run a RAM preview. And you see, when it's done, it bounces back. You see that? It just keep bouncing back. So that's how you select an area you want to preview. Now you can also right click. For instance, this area you preview is the only thing you need in this project. You don't need anything from here or from here. You can just right click on this area here, and trim come to work area, and you can see this is now our beginning, and it is still the same thing. You see that? You can also do more here. For instance, let me just go to a point here. Let's say I want to drop an effect somewhere here, and because of details I need to go closer in here. All you just need to do is use the scroll bar on your mouse to just slide it up and down to zoom in. Do you understand? You can make use of your control plus and minus. Control plus and minus. It will be displayed down somewhere here. Now your control plus and minus to zoom in and out of this preview window. You can also, now when you are zoomed in, and right now I cannot see his eye where I want to place my effect, click on your space bar, just click and drag. You see this? You are not moving the file itself, you are only shifting the position of this window so that you can see what you want to actually achieve. You see that? So that's how it works. Now once you are done, just leave the space bar, and we are back in here. And at any point you can just use your shift and all this, and if the position, oh sorry, right now I am moving the video file. That was a mistake, because if you don't hold on your shift, if you drag, you are going to be moving the video file itself. But when we have our shift selected, you can see you are moving the whole composition. Do you understand? So at any point, if maybe it's here and or maybe you make it full and it's not really full, you want it to be really full, you can just come here, click on this place and click on fit. You can see that we have it fit into our windows here. And finally, if you want to preview this on the whole screen, the shortcut is the symbol just before number 1 on your keyboard. The symbol just before, I'm going to show it on the screen. The symbol just before your number 1 on the keyboard is going to, if you, for instance, this is your timeline, you want it to be full so that you can make some adjustment, click on it, timeline becomes full. If you want this place, any of the panel you want to be full, just hover on that panel and click. And when you are done with what you want to do in the panel, you click again, it's back. Like this is our character panel here. You can just do the same thing. You see it is full, and we have all our character settings here. When you're done, click on it again. Just for any panel, you can just do the same thing. And with this, we've come to the end of the very first episode in this series, After Effects Essentials. Hoping to see you in the next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, why don't you subscribe right now, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified when we release the next episode. Don't forget to like, share and comment. If you have any questions, just comment. I'll be sure to respond to you, and I might just make a video just to answer your question. So until next time, stay creative.